Hello, everybody. Welcome back into the Casual Sports Podcast. Getting set to wrap up another week. Guys, it's been pretty great. Full show. Lots of things to talk about.
By fast, though, man.
That they have. I mean, MLB's nearly done. I mean, you go back to when we were starting the show, we were about 2 weeks off from the start of the playoffs. Here we are with a chance to send a team to the World Series tonight here. We'll get into that. We got a little bit more as well. NBA, they've started their season. It's going off great. Cavs have their home opener tonight against Charlotte. And, of course, NHL's getting going as well. 2 overtime games already for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And a few surprises already. So we got a lot to go into. Keep in mind, today we're going to start off the show after our question of the day with our high school preview for Matt and I for this coming night on ysnlive.com. So, question of the day today to start off your casual sports podcast viewing experience from yesterday. Which of these 2 players are brothers-in-law? Your options were A.J. Hawk, Clay Matthews, Brady Quinn, Matt Ryan, Tim Tebow. Yeah, the answers, A.J. Hawk and Brady Quinn. I was wearing the Hawk jersey yesterday. Maybe somebody should have at least picked up on that one there.
It was a sign.
It was a sign. Well, you got to pay attention. And it opened up my eyes. Western Michigan linebacker Amir Ismail had 6 sacks and an interception on October 21st, 2006. How many sacks did he finish the season with? Your options, 6, 10, 17, 20, or 30. Leave your answer somewhere. Come on back tomorrow, or pardon me, Monday. See if you get that right.
You had that right last week. You didn't mess it up last week.
I've been okay with it once so far this show.
Yeah.
In the 6 weeks we've been doing it now, so maybe by 7th week I'll get it back to normal. But it's hard. It's hard being me.
It's hard.
I got a lot to do. All right, boys. When's the last time you guys planned these shows out? Matt, you and I tonight here at 7 p.m. Just up the street here, Rain Field, former home of the Penguins. Seeing another potentially good game. Cheney against Youngstown East. Should be interesting. And right now, Cheney fighting for their playoff lives, much like the Red Sox are doing as well. Cheney right now, they sit 20th in Division III for Region 9. They're on the very edge of that ranking. 20 teams get in. They are number 20 right now. So it's win and you're in right now for Cheney. In Youngstown East, they're a 1-win team. They're looking to pull the upset. And despite the fact the East has really struggled to put together some big rankings or any big winning seasons in recent sports history for their school, they're always a competitive team to go up against. And you even saw it in the last basketball season. It didn't matter, if they were a 1-win team or a 20-win team. They're going to come in there. They're going to fight you, as hard as they can for as long as they can. Sometimes, they go up against teams that are just going to pour it on, and it's happened a few times, but you just look at some of the games this season, it hasn't been blowouts, even against teams that you would expect to really run the table on them. And they stand a chance here tonight against Cheney to potentially keep this one close and pull the upset.
Yeah, you can't always count a team out, even a team like East, and they also play Ryan Field too, right? They share that field, right? Them and a couple other teams. But, you never know what can happen. Maybe a couple weeks ago, we called this Cheney team that were playing Howland.
And we expected Howland to win. Howland sits at 19, the rankings right above them as well.
Yeah, we expected them to come out and, look good, but Cheney just surprised us. They're a team that can play, and especially if they get their quarterback back, but it's unlikely, the broken leg by Hewlett. We've heard
Cincinnati
good things
recruit,
about
he's only a junior, he'll be back next season. But, right now they stand on the strength of J.R. Tennington and obviously Clive Wilson on defense. Not to mention, their freshman quarterback has been unbelievable this season.
Jones.
Matthew Jones has just been phenomenal so far. And I think you got to give a lot of credit to the freshman quarterback. Coming in after a Division I quarterback recruit goes out for the season in their first, few plays of the season. And now the freshman comes in and, doesn't exactly play up to the same level of Hewlett, but shows a lot of great things out of a freshman. So I think it's a very important moment right now for Cheney. Finish the season out 4-5, get your playoff berth, and see either if you can get Hewlett back in for a playoff run or see how far this freshman can take you. Get him some early experience. If you can give a guy like that playoff run before his time comes, probably junior year, it could be huge for Cheney Cowboys.
It could be. How about them Cowboys? Mike, I knew you liked that one.
I do. I was like, when you fit that in somewhere. Yeah. You did it yesterday, too.
I said it during the broadcast when we were calling them
you did. Well, let's move it on here. NFL, if you want to tune into Matt and I's game tonight, obviously on ysnlive.com, 7 p.m. Cheney Cowboys, Youngstown East Golden Bears. Should be an exciting game.
Yeah, and we really...
and cold.
Yeah,
cold game tonight.
And we make games interesting. My dad was listening to the game. He's like, listen, some of these games are just dreadful to watch because they're blowout games.
We've seen some blowouts,
And my dad's like, you guys made me want to watch more. That's my dad talking, but I've heard it from other people too.
Well,
so
you guys can be the judge of that. Same here with the podcast. Let us know what you guys think of our broadcast here. But how about we get into the NFL Thursday night football last night? How about this one? 17-14, Browns without a ton of starters. Same on the Denver Broncos side. Case Keenum, though, still pulls out the win for the Cleveland Browns, but it came off the strength of the ground. Dearness Johnson, a guy just 3 years ago, graduates out of USF, and he's down fishing for mahi-mahi in Key West. Gets a call up from, tries out for the Apollos in the AAF.
Yep.
Gets a job with the Browns.
I think he tried something with the Saints at one time.
Yeah, he was on the Saints. He was on the practice squad and got cut. Yeah. Then went to the Atlanta Apollos, then made it here now into the Cleveland Browns organization, and just averaged 6.6 yards per carry and 146 yards for the touchdown. And I think this was an all-around great performance for Cleveland, despite what they were missing and a lot of injuries and using a backup quarterback. Every time you throw a backup quarterback into the game, and he hasn't played in years. I mean, Case Keenum hasn't played a snap of meaningful football since Minnesota.
I mean, he's always there just in case.
Yeah. Just in case Keenum.
In case. Yep. Case for Keenum. They were talking about this today.
Yeah.
Making a case of play. So.
Yeah. Well, he was 21 of 33, 199 yards and a touchdown. I think the big question mark is starting to come up for Cleveland with Baker Mayfield's torn shoulder. It's completely torn. It's not going to get fixed, and he requires surgery to get this fixed.
Oh, man.
So it's a potential. Browns could lose Baker Mayfield for the rest of the season, potentially.
Amen.
And I think it just warrants the question. Nobody really knows what's happening in the Browns organization with Baker Mayfield's injury. So is Case Keenum a legitimate case to start for the rest of the season?
I really think he is. He's
I
made
think
miracles
so
happen.
Here's my thing. This offense is good for any type of quarterback. To honestly,
and if he can get Chubb and Hunt back as well,
the offensive line is one of the best, if not the best, in the league, and that's why the running game is so good. And only aside from the talent of the running backs, having an offensive line helps any type of running back. So just like last night, they had two running backs out. They get Dearness Johnson, who had a big game behind that offensive line. That makes it easier for Case Keenum. They mixed some play action in there and made him feel comfortable. So
they used a lot of play action, and I think that was the one benefit they had using an experienced quarterback like Case Keenum. They were able to use him as an NFL quarterback because he started in the NFL for seasons. This isn't, some backup like you're dealing with Davis Mills in the Texans organization. This isn't, some guy who's never seen the NFL playing field in meaningful snaps. This is a guy that's been in the league for quite some time and has plenty of experience that he can lean on. So you can actually run out there and run your regular offense with a guy like Keenum at the helm. And I think he showed you here today, if he doesn't end up being the starter for the rest of the season for the Browns and gets signed back next season, this is going to be a guy that, come free agency for him, could get picked up by a team that needs a quarterback if he continues to perform strong for the Browns here with Baker Mayfield out.
I mean, he is. He's not sometimes he gets a bad rap because he's not a bad quarterback. This guy won a playoff divisional game. Nobody wins that on accident.
No.
I mean, it was a miracle at the end, but he was in
but
until
he
the end.
put it up there and make the miracle happen. I know Diggs did a lot too, but Keenum put it right on point. And he
had some great throws last night.
Guess who?
Kevin Stefanski.
Stefanski, when he was with Minnesota.
And he had a lot of good throws last night, and there were a few. I think he has a better game if Odell and Jarvis weren't injured. You really saw in that game, Odell just couldn't hold on to anything, dealing with a shoulder injury. He even hit the ground really hard going out of bounds, and he was just down on the ground, looked like he was punching the concrete. He looked like he was in ferocious pain in that game. Jarvis Landry was really the main target, but you just look at the stat sheet. This ball was perfectly spread out, and you get that out of a quarterback like Case Keenum. He's going to spread the ball out. He doesn't have to rely on just one guy. He got it to everyone.
And he got Schwartz going again, too. We haven't seen him since
And he
week
nearly
1.
had a big deep ball as well to the end zone, and it just got broken up by Patrick Surtain, who, if we flip this over to the Broncos side of things, he was fantastic in this game. He had so many pass breakups, and despite the fact that this Broncos squad had no running game whatsoever, in the passing game, it was okay. They had a stronger second half. The first half, they got blanked, and it wasn't even close. The Browns looked like they were going to just take this thing away, and then the Broncos scored to open the third. Browns answer right back. And obviously, the Broncos get one more down, in that fourth quarter, trying to close the game out. Browns, though, just enough to win this football game. They're going to need more going forward against some of these better teams, but important win for the Browns with the backups.
Absolutely, and Pittsburgh's got a bye weekend, then they got they got to get ready for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, both teams.
That's next week.
Both teams have the.
And you know what else? You talked about closing the game out. Give the Browns credit for closing it out because, Denver scores with 5 minutes left. They make it a 3-point game. People are thinking, the momentum felt like it was on Denver's side. With 5 minutes left, they had 3 timeouts, 2-minute warning. And give the Browns credit because they never gave Denver the ball back.
No.
They kept the ball back, and the last play, they had it for 5 minutes, and they finished it out with Case Keenum taking a knee to win the game.
Well, so you kind of even saw this was just a slow game in that third quarter. I mean, between the Broncos touchdown drive and the Browns touchdown drive, I think there was 2 minutes left in the third quarter by the time both teams had touched the ball for the first time.
Yeah.
So it was a slow-moving ball game, and you look at this Broncos side from this one. Cortland Sutton he had a great second half. Him and Tim Patrick really were the bell cows for this team, even though Javonte Williams and Noah Fant had a lot of touches in there. It really seemed like every time there was a big play, it was Sutton and Patrick who were getting that big momentum jolt for them. A lot of things to turn around, though, for the Broncos.
I mean, they got to fix their offense. That's pretty much been their problem all year, and especially during this 4-game winning or losing streak. So they definitely got to figure that out. Well, I think they were warming up Drew Lock on the sideline during the halftime. So from this point forward, we got to see what they do at quarterback.
That's for sure. And I mean, this was a big milestone for Kevin Stefanski. First time being with the Browns that he has lost back-to-back games. First time ever that he has lost back-to-back. Comes back in the third game and wins it there close at home with no quarterback, 2 missing running backs, your top 2 wide receivers are playing injured. Jedrick Wills finally returns, but you're still missing the right tackle. Then defense, luckily, a lot of the injured guys ended up playing. So there was question marks with Garrett and Clowney. They both ended up playing in the game. So a lot of the injuries on the defensive side of things didn't come back to bite them. But the offense, I mean, despite the fact that they didn't have anyone, they scored. They played well. And I think it's a big part moving forward to show that Stefanski can still win with whatever you give him. And I love that right now. The play calling was all over the place. It was Stefanski's system. And because Keenum has been a part of that for so long, he executed it perfectly.
And like you said, it's next man up. Most of the teams, college and even NFL too. I mean, we're talking about NFL. It's next man up. Sometimes it doesn't work for some teams. They can't overcome it, and they don't have the depth to overcome it. But some teams are able to keep, plugging away with their stars out. So they found a way to win. It was an ugly one, low scoring game. I predicted it to be an ugly one because it was wet outside. And, both teams were,
there were tornado warnings all across Ohio yesterday, and here they are up in Cleveland, safe and sound. But I mean, they got the job done.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, but.
Playing at home, I think, was definitely a big advantage to have.
It was.
All
Had
those
the
guys
crowd.
out.
They had the crowd. Denver still kind of finding themselves, or still trying to figure things out. So they were able to get one.
I think the upside is they're going to get 9 days to recover for that Steelers game, being the early Thursday game. So they're going to get some time to get some players back healthy. And I think it's important to get Jarvis and Odell back healthy. That's the biggest points of this offense to get back. And if those guys come back, it opens up the Steelers' defense a little bit more. Because if they can't get it to those guys, TJ Watt can just come right in off the edge against the right tackle every time.
Absolutely.
And get right back in there. I mean, you saw Keenum was under pressure a lot in that game, specifically off the right side. Once Von Miller, though, went out, it was, it was open season for Case Keenum. Yeah. He was under no pressure, and that's kind of TJ Watt's game. And obviously Cameron Hayward's also on that line, too. And he's going to take up a lot of blocks. So it's going to force whichever side TJ Watt's on, the Browns offense, to probably bring in Austin Hooper and Njoku right in there and try and block. And I think you saw a lot of the same play calling from the Browns that you're going to see against the Steelers. A lot of quick screens out to guys like Njoku, Hooper, and obviously D'Ernest Johnson in that game. So I think a lot of upside in play calling there, because attacking Von Miller is a similar situation to what you're going to have to do against TJ Watt. They both run very similar on defense.
Yes, that they do.
Which I think is a big compliment to both those players.
So, yes.
And, it's a big game for both teams, Matt.
It is very big.
They were able to get back to 500. They got to keep it going.
They have to keep it going. They have the bye week to rest up, get a couple more players more healthy, adjust to Ben's hip problems or whatever, get him going, get some duct tape around him, get him going.
All right, well, obviously, Broncos were strong on defense, though, in this game.
Yeah.
They had a lot of big plays. I mean, Ronald Darby was all over the place. Mike Purcell on the line was great. But I think the one bright side right now in the season so far you can see for this, once again, injured Broncos, Patrick Surtain. He was in pass breakups all night long, and he was fantastic. And I think they found a big part of him on the defensive side of football. So
that's why they took him in the first round.
Yeah,
that's why he was one of the best corners in the draft.
Him and Diggs.
Yep.
They played together in Alabama. Imagine if they're on the same team at one point in the NFL. That would be the most unstoppable defense in football.
Be hard to pass on.
That it would. All right, so let's get into some NFL previewing for this coming weekend. A lot of big games, a lot of crap games.
Yeah.
Kind of what we're getting used to right now.
Most of them crap.
Well, yeah. We have a few good ones, though, so we'll get into it. Obviously, we started off the week Broncos-Browns, so, it's not great. But we'll start things off tomorrow on Fox. Panthers versus the Giants, 3-3. Darnold's been struggling against the Giants, who are officially without a lot of guys. Saquon Barkley not playing in this game, among a few others. Evan Ingram will be the starting tight end. So, it's probably not going to be a great day for the Giants offense. It never is. They suck. 24th in rushing on the season, 11th in passing, and that's just due to yards. So it's a 15th ranked offense going up against the 17th. Carolina's for 17th. I'm looking for Chuba Hubbard in this game to have a big one. They have that strong defense, and that's what you saw them kind of rely on last week. And I think it's important right now for this Cardinals squad to take home, the Panthers squad to take home the win. We all took them last week. They struggled against the Vikings. They couldn't close that out. They need to play better this week.
I mean, this is a game they can win, too. I mean, the Vikings last week, Vikings, like we talked about it, they're a weird team. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. And last week they were good. But with the Panthers, you talk about their offense, it's middle of the road, just like the Giants is. It's not great. It's not nothing to look at. But I look for Chuba Hubbard, and I look for that offense led by Joe Brady with Darnold. I've had a brain fart there for a minute.
And also DJ Moore. We're talking about it every week. One of the best
Yeah.
wide receivers in football. So
yeah,
Yes. I gotta go Panthers. I think they're gonna bounce back here.
Going quick on the pick.
Giants are just too depleted. No Barkley. Isn't Daniel Jones a little roughed up as well?
Yeah, he's been roughed up as well. I believe he will.
Their whole team's roughed up right now.
Yeah.
So I'm going Panthers too.
All right, Panthers across the board for me too. So next game up on the ledger: Jets, Patriots, 1-4, 2-4. I think it feels more like an interesting matchup. To kind of battle of young quarterbacks. Two teams trying to find themselves. Jets have sixth best defense, despite the fact they have the worst offense in the NFL. Yeah. I think there's a lot more balance in New England, though. And they've had some tough games already that they've nearly pulled out. This is a team that, a couple plays away from being 3-3 or even, on the other side of that 4-2.
Yeah.
So, a team I don't think you can take lightly, and a team I think I have favored in this one.
You never take
I'm taking
lightly.
the Patriots here with Bill Belichick, especially against the worst offense in football.
You never take the Pats lightly. I mean, last week they came up with a game plan to hang in with the Cowboys pushing to overtime, and then they came up with a game plan against Tampa Bay, so they always find out game plan, especially defensively.
Bill Belichick knows what he's going up against.
No, he knows.
And he's going to go full speed ahead right at this young quarterback with the Jets.
And they haven't won a home game yet this season, and I think that's very rare to see them start the season not winning a home game, so I think this is the one where they get on track and go on Pats.
I gotta go Pats as well. I mean, I'm kind of high on, Mac Jones. I really believe that's going to be their guy here in the future.
He's played well.
He's playing well. He's a rookie. You got to give him time, and you can't give the guy better tutelage than, Bill Belichick with him. And even Josh McDaniels, too, their offensive coordinator.
Well, probably early big game of the week. Third best offense, second best in passing, ninth best in rushing. Despite the defense looking like absolute hot dog water, Tennessee Titans, on the other hand, third in rushing, 25th in passing. Their defense equally as bad, though. So, Kansas City Chiefs, Tennessee Titans, potentially big game. It's in Tennessee, though.
This is a big game, and I think it helps Tennessee being at home, but
it sure does.
It's a matchup of two good offenses. I mean,
Tennessee's defense is high scoring.
Yeah, and like you said, with Tennessee's offense, it should be better than what it is. We thought it would be better coming in. We thought they were going to pass it more, and they really haven't been able to pass it consistently. But good thing to have Derrick Henry because it's best running back in the league. So
by far.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
Nick Chubb is right now second in the league in rushing yards behind Derrick Henry. Chubb is closer to being 27th in the league than he is to being first. That is the separation right now between number one and number two. And Nick Chubb hasn't played, this week or last week, but still. That just means Chubb was that far ahead of the rest of the field, and he's still nowhere near Henry. So just keep that in mind on the season that Derrick Henry's having. He's on pace right now to break the single-season rushing record in the NFL.
Yep.
Wow.
So with that being said, Matt, why don't you give your pick first here? Chiefs, Titans.
Honestly, that everybody's saying, oh, they lost to the Jets or whatever. We've talked about fluke games a lot here in college. Definitely in college. This definitely was a fluke game. I take go Titans.
All right.
They've found their streak.
They're really good.
You know what? I talk about their running game because it's pretty much the strength of the Titans. I mean, it is. You have Derrick Henry. I think that the Chiefs are going to struggle to stop that, but if they can limit the passing game and somewhat limit what Derrick Henry does, it's hard to do that. But if you can avoid those big runs like they gave up on Monday night with the Titans, I'm going Chiefs here. I think their offense is gonna do it for them because that's the strength of their team. It's not their defense, but if they can get some stops on defense, I think they're gonna take it.
Well, the one thing I look at in this game, so you're taking the Chiefs here, right?
Yep.
All right. I'm rolling right along with you in this based on the fact that I just have a feeling this game's going to end up being a shootout. And when you have a shootout, run games can't keep up with the pass. It's one thing we know in the NFL. And as great as Derrick Henry is, if Mahomes comes out there and looks like Mahomes and the offense goes along as they have in the past, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire has a decent day, Chiefs win this one by 20 points based on the fact they can score so much. This is easily one of the worst defenses the Chiefs have gone up against this season, and the Titans have no pass game to speak of so far. Tannehill can turn it on at any point, and if he does, this goes back to the Titans' way. But at the moment, I like what I'm seeing out of the Chiefs, and they're starting to look like they're putting some things together despite their poor start to the season. Mm-hmm. They get the win over the Browns week 1. We haven't seen that Chiefs team back really full steam since week 1. I'm looking for them to have a big one here against the Chiefs. Next one up, Washington football team taking on the Packers and the owner of Chicago, Aaron Rodgers. This one, I think another potentially big game for Washington. Packers are 5-1, and they have looked unstoppable since that week 1 game against the Saints where they just got decimated. And that just looks like the biggest fluke of the NFL season so far, right? I mean, we're talking a 5-1 team. Their one loss was by 30 points.
I mean, you rip off 5 straight wins.
Really done nothing so far in the season in the Saints, and now 5 straight, 7th best defense in the league. The offense, I think, needs to play catch-up right now for the Packers, but the defense has been doing enough to win, and the offense doesn't really have to do that much when the defense has been great. And on the other side, one of the second worst defense in football, Washington. Offense is once again another team right on the edge of kind of crap and being mediocre. So, nothing too positive. Obviously, Antonio Gibson had a down week last week. I'm looking for a little bit better out of him. But he's going up against a strong defense, and I don't think the rushing lanes are going to be there once again this week for a guy like Gibson.
Yeah, and Green Bay having the 7th best defense, I think it was 7th.
Yeah.
I think it was. Aaron Rodgers was talking about his press conference this week. The last time he felt that this team was picking up pieces and making some moves on defense, having a strong defense was that year they won the Super Bowl. They were top 5 defense against the Steelers. And they're a top defense now, so if they can keep that going, Aaron Rodgers, he hasn't really had top 5 defense since then, and that's you need a defense, and their offense got to pick it up too, like you said.
Defense wins championships.
It wins championships.
Matt, what's your pick in this game? Give us a little breakdown too.
I got Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers is definitely back, and Washington is still trying to find themselves. I like Taylor Heineke. And obviously I like, Antonio Gibson there and Terry McLaurin as well.
Chase Young.
Yeah.
A lot of good pieces for this Washington squad.
I think they need, honestly, nothing against their coaching staff at all. I think their coach, what's his name?
Ron Rivera.
Very, very
former
high.
Panther.
Yeah, former Panther coach. Was on the old 85 Bears team. Like, he knows what he's doing. But I don't know. I think they need another fit there, or he needs other coaches around him that fit better with his system. Because
possibly
I think
change with defensive coaches.
Yeah, they do. They need some changes in the staff there because they have a good set of players here that can win some games for you. And I think it's definitely the coaching here.
So you're taking Green Bay is what I'm hearing.
I'm going to go Green
Okay.
Bay. Oh, yeah.
Well, welcome back to crap. We got the Falcons taking on the Miami Dolphins.
Oh.
I think this is finally we see the return of Tua time to Miami. Obviously, they go across the pond, lose to the Jags. I think you got to say, not really what we were expecting out of the Dolphins. They're 1-5. Falcons have the better record at 2-3, and Matt Ryan's actually been passing the ball fairly well. Defense also number 3 in the NFL right now for the Falcons. And the Dolphins pretty much in position for being last place in every category offensively and defensively. But we haven't really seen Tua play in quite some time, despite him playing across the pond against the Jaguars.
That's how
in what was his first game back.
Yeah, his first game back. I mean, they're 1-5. I think some people expect them to be somewhat better than that, maybe another game or two better than that. They've had injuries this year, especially with the quarterback, like you said, with Tua, and that kills any team. Not every team, can do it. The Browns did last night have a quarterback that used to start and come in. I mean, the Dolphins somewhat are better than what they are record-wise. I mean, not a whole lot, but they're
still a lot of defensive injuries though for them too. Matt, you got a pick for this one? Thought on it? Falcons, Dolphins.
Like you said, Matt Ryan definitely bringing them back a little bit here, and they're 2-3. That's not too bad. Everybody's after his first couple games like, oh god, they're horrible.
Could be worse.
Yeah, I gotta go Falcons. I say the Falcons take it.
I'm going Fins.
You're going Dolphins in this one. I think it's a big game for the Dolphins, but their defense has been abysmal so far. And I think it's a big turn in this one, but I think I'm leaning with Mike on this side. I think I got the Dolphins winning. I want to see Tua play big and his second game back now that he's had kind of a longer week dealing with the London travel. I want to see the Dolphins take this one. Next game up, finally, something really, really good happening in the NFL. 4-2 Bengals traveling in division, heading over to Baltimore to take on the 5-1 Ravens, a team despite not having a true starting running back, has the 4th best rushing offense in the league, 12th best in passing, 18th best defense, and the Bengals look pretty darn good on their side, 9th best defense in the league, 17th in passing, 18th in rushing. So chances right now for some big play and a chance to take the top spot right now in the AFC North early on. What are you guys thinking of this one?
This was
big time division showdown.
Burrow, this is where Joe Burrow is gonna cement himself into this division, saying, "Hey, this Bengals team's not gonna go down lightly. They're gonna take him all the way. I'm not gonna make a pick just yet. I gotta think about it for a second. This is gonna be hard." And then the other side, Lamar Jackson. Everybody's saying, "Oh, he's a running back, quarterback." Even I've said it. Yes, I have said it. The guy can pass. Okay, he can get it done throwing as well. Okay, he used to do it. We talked about how he did it at Louisville. He ran for 250 and passed for that much too. But you can't really do that in the NFL. You gotta go one or the other. He's still getting stuff done on the ground as well, getting them late third down drives. Get a little run going and. I mean, he's doing pretty good.
and you look at the Ravens and stuff.
You have to talk. I mean, I know I don't like him, but you have to talk. I mean, if he's doing good, I'm not going to just say, yeah.
I mean,
he's playing good.
With Jackson and some of these other young quarterbacks that have already established themselves, they went through games like this that Joe Burrow is about to go through.
Yeah.
Like, if he wants... We all know he's good right now, and we all know we're giving the Bengals credit. They're a good team this year. They've got some things going in their direction, but... They want to take another step and have a chance to win this division this year. They got to win a game like this. It's in division. You got to beat a quarterback that's done it longer than Joe Burrow has, and their young team on the rise. So you got to get one going for confidence.
I think the one side you look at the Ravens in this ball game, Lamar Jackson, especially moving into the future. Lamar Jackson's still younger than Joe Burrow, so they have a quarterback who's playing at an MVP level, still younger. Joe Burrow is the second oldest quarterback in the AFC North.
That's right.
He played in college for 5 years.
Right.
He was there a long time.
Yeah, he was. Right.
So, we'll see. Make your picks, guys. Matt, kick it off.
I'm walking the tight rope here. I'm going to take the Bengals.
It's not a bad pick.
It's not a bad pick. Although, I just haven't seen everything out of this offense right now for the Bengals. Yeah. Joe Mixon's not showing any consistency. I believe P. Ryan's injured for them. Jamar Chase, though, Rookie of the Week last week. Looking for another big one here, and I think he can have a big one. I just don't know if it's going to be enough. I'm taking the Ravens here.
I just don't know. I'm going with the Ravens, but I think it's going to be a close one, and I think it's going to be. This is like a test game for the Bengals. See where they're at. I mean, if they win,
be close.
They win, give them credit, but it's a game that I think they have to go through matchups like this where they play teams better than them, and they have to fight out for division. And I think they could win it, but I think it's going to go to the Ravens.
Well, this one should be a pretty quick pick here, as I'm just... Yeah.
Oh, no.
Pretty quick, just Quitty.
we make up words.
It happens. Whatever. Pretty quick pick here. 0-6 Lions in Los Angeles to take on the 5-1 Rams. I'm obviously taking the Lions in this one. Just kidding. I've got the Rams going all the way 6-1. Matt?
Rams, but I like the story here because, Goff going back to L.A., Stafford going against his old team. I like that story. Yeah. But Rams are rolling.
Could end up being a little bit closer than we think, too, especially with both defenses knowing the offense pretty well.
The Lions definitely shouldn't be what the record shows right now. They've lost some tough ones.
I'm going Rams. They don't have an offense to even compete with.
The
Lions don't have an offense to compete with the Rams, so that's my analysis.
Well, I think this one becomes one of the most interesting games of the week. The Philadelphia Eagles at 2-4. Playing up against the Las Vegas Raiders at 4-2. Since the removal of John Gruden, this team has been ticking right back along to where they were to start out the season when they went 3-0 to start things out.
Henry Ruggs.
Right. They dropped 2. Good. The stuff comes out about Gruden, and now they win their last game after it. And all the players just said, this felt great. Not having Gruden on the sideline, no one's yelling at you. When something happens, you just go next play. It's great. It's calm. It's it felt like a good football environment to be in. So potential good chance for the Raiders to go 5-2 now. On the other side, though, I think Philadelphia has a big shot to win here, especially with still the stuff going on with the Raiders. It's not just going away. They're still trying to find themselves, trying to find what's going on. Still don't have a rushing game. Josh Jacobs really hasn't been healthy all season, and they're 29th in the league because of it. Eagles, though, 13th best in rushing, 22nd in passing. I'm looking for Jalen Hurts to have a bigger game against a mid-tier defense in the Raiders.
I like this matchup for the Eagles.
I
mean, I don't want. We're making picks now. I'm going Eagles. I think, it's a game for them to win. I think both. The Raiders got a win last night, and they're feeling confidence, like you said. But I think they still have some ways to go.
I'm sorry. I like the Eagles. I like Rager. I like obviously Devontae Smith, and I like Hurts as well. But like you said, Gruden's gone. I think they have clear heads now. I said I gotta take the Raiders. Ruggs is playing a lot better now. We've seen that.
Yeah, starting to come out of a shell right now. And Matt, I think I'm on a similar wavelength as you right now. Before, I was going back Monday when I was putting this whole show together. I was looking at all the games and I went, I think the Eagles can take this one. They were in a good chance. I like Jalen Hurts, obviously, and I like what they've been doing so far. Obviously, Devontae is one of the best young wide receivers in the NFL, right up there with guys like Jamar Chase. But I think the Raiders kind of found themselves in that last game without John Gruden on the sideline, with his mentality. It has brought something else out of this team. And obviously, Derek Carr's been unstoppable so far. I mean, when you see their offense, and they're the third best in passing, if they can find any resemblance of a run game, they can take this one by a landslide. If no run game, I still think the Raiders take it, but I think it's a little bit closer.
And compared to the beginning of the year, they're starting to spread the ball around a little bit more. Like you said, they're getting Ruggs going. They were just throwing the ball over the first couple games. Now they're finding some balance in the offense and in the passing game.
Well, big game for one of the Watt brothers, J.J. Watt, in his return against a former team. Cardinals, Texans. Should be another quick pick here.
Yeah.
1-5 Texans, 6-0 unstoppable Cardinals. J.J. Watt, made a comment earlier in this week.
Yeah.
Everyone was trying to find excuses on why Cardinals trying to beating all these teams. He just went,
we're just better.
Yeah, there's no excuses. We're just that damn good.
That's paraphrasing.
Right, yeah. I was a little closer to what he said, but
well, that's what he means.
He's mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this right now, you can't say they're the best team in football.
Well,
I got the Cardinals going 7-0 right here.
Oh, absolutely. I love this team, man.
You put it in for me, Alec. I don't even have the answer.
Just writing them all down so we can calculate who's right at the end of the weeks. Mike, you and I have been the same pick on every single one besides Raiders Eagles. So maybe it'll flip up here in the last two. I seriously doubt it. 3-3 Bears playing in Tampa Bay against the Buccaneers at 5-1. I want to see something out of Justin Fields this week. I want to see him go up against a strong defense with Tampa Bay and get something going. Right now, obviously, 32nd in passing, 7th in rushing, though, with an 8th best defense. I think there's a chance right now the Bears can come in and pull the upset in this game if Justin Fields is on and if they can run the ball again. They're going to obviously against the top 10 defense, and obviously Tom Brady, number one in passing in the season so far. He's already over 2,000 yards. The rushing game has been pretty awful for Tampa Bay, but it doesn't really seem to matter. So, what are you guys' thoughts on this one?
In the rushing game being 27, that's not going to last. They're going to pick it up pretty soon. And I don't think the Bears have an offense to
they're finding themselves.
I mean, I think their defense can slow some stuff down, but for a while. But you see it with when teams hang around against good teams, they pull away in the second half. Yeah. And I think that's what Tampa Bay is going to do because their offense is too balanced and it's too good and starting to click.
Even
I like the
though
Bucs.
that they're not gonna have Antonio Brown this week.
No,
Aren't they gonna
I
have
don't
a couple
believe so.
players?
They have
out
a few
this
guys
week?
out already, yeah.
Yeah.
So with that, Matt, make
I
your
still
pick.
gotta take Bucks here. I think the Bears are still finding themselves. You know, Fields, this was pretty much his first test, and I think he's gonna mature more. You know, playing this
Probably
game.
throws 2 picks, but I
Yeah.
think he plays well.
Because this is a pretty good defense that he's
That
going
they are.
against here. So
And they weren't playing like it, but they're starting to wake up.
they're starting to wake up, yeah.
Well, one final game, and I think
Sure.
potentially a nice one to at least finish off the night. Indianapolis Colts heading over to San Francisco to take on the 2-3 Niners. Niners, second best defense, 26th best offense, though. And on the other side, bit more even for the Colts. 20th in defense, 14th in offense. I think a chance here that Indianapolis could pull off the win going up against a San Fran team that I think might be favored going into this one.
And you look at this Colts team. I mean, they had that game against the Ravens where they were up big and they blew it. Last week to get back on track. I know it was against a lesser opponent, but they got back on track and blew them out. I got to go Colts in this game.
I gotta go. I'm gonna take the Niners here. I think their defense is gonna hold up enough to, you know, get into Carson Wentz's head and make him throw some interceptions, you know, make some mistakes, and I say the Niners are gonna take it.
You know, the Niners, despite that offense looking, you know, pretty not great, they've had some big moments, and I think they're just a few plays away from being, you know, a team that's 29th in the league to being a team that potentially could be top 20 if they can just find a little bit more, and I think this is their shot to find a little bit more. Going up against the 20th ranked defense, I think this is where the 49ers take it. I think they get back on track, and they look like a team that would be now 500 on the season. Same place we're looking at the Steelers and Browns going into next week. So I got the 49ers taking that one Sunday night, 8:20.
Do we know who's starting the quarterback? Is Trey Lance? Because I don't know if Garoppolo's coming back yet. If you guys heard anything.
I have not heard on that one.
That's
I
why
believe
they've
it's
been-
Trey
That's
Lance.
why they've been bad on offense.
Yeah. You're dealing with a young quarterback. It
Yep.
happens, and
It does
you just
happen.
have to, you know, roll with the punches.
Roll with it. Yeah, exactly.
Well, we'll move on here to MLB postseason play. A big win to cap off the homestand for the Dodgers last night. They win it 11-2. Fried got fried up on the mound,
Yeah.
and he goes away with the loss in this game. Big game now. Tomorrow night, it's a travel day. They go back to Atlanta for the final 2 if needed. They obviously need Game 6. Same spot they were in last year. 3-1 comeback is on again for the Dodgers. They're going to have Scherzer back up on the mound here for Game 6. Anderson
He's
on the
on-
mound for the Braves.
Scherzer is on a little rest, a couple days or so like that. But
As everybody is.
the guy's a workhorse. So Braves are going to have a handful of, you know, players like Freddie Freeman, who had their only runs. He hit that 2-run home run yesterday. So he's got to step up, you know, players. And Austin Riley, who was kind of a big factor during the early preseason, has kind of fallen off a little bit. He's got to get back up there again.
And you know, Alec was talking about this being the same. I mean, the way the games have gone in the series has been the same as last year, but at least the Braves have the ability of this year to go, hey, we're going back home with 2 more to win at home. They didn't have that last year because they were neutral sites. Let's go back home. Let's close it out. You know, they want to get it done in Game 6. Anything can happen in Game 7s, especially in baseball. Home field advantage matters in baseball, but anybody can go in there and get a big hit. Doesn't matter where it's at. But
it was dire for them to win at least one game in LA, and they did just that. So,
yeah, I mean, you had to steal one on the road, and so far, I mean, home teams looked pretty good. I mean, I think you can just go right with that. Home team has, you know, won all but one game so far in the series. I think that bodes well for Atlanta. You look, Ian Anderson on the mound for the Braves. Young guy, 23 years old, second year in the majors. He was drafted back in 2016. Postseason, he's 1-0 this so far with an ERA of 2.25. I think that bodes well coming off what was a big game for the Dodgers bats last night. So I think it's big for Anderson, but obviously everybody knows Scherzer. It's going to be a hard night to hit for this Atlanta lineup. And it comes down to pitching, I think, this one. I think that's where you have to give the edge to Scherzer. And I think right now, Dodgers force Game 7. I mean, we're going to have the series wrapped up before we come back to Monday's show. So why don't we give picks of who wraps out this series? I got the Dodgers at least forcing Game 7. They're going to have Buehler on the mound in that matchup. And I think that's when it goes back to Atlanta. And I think Atlanta can take this one to the World Series. But I think Dodgers force 7.
Yeah, I say Atlanta battles through Scherzer, and I say they take it. But if in case that they do go Game 7, Walker Buehler does. He's a good young pitcher. He has a lot of talent. He's going to be one of those top pitchers in 3 or 4 years, we're going to be talking about him like we talked about Clayton Kershaw and Max Scherzer. We're going to be talking about Walker Buehler. But I think they're going to take it to Scherzer. They have to. I mean, you gotta get Austin Riley going again. Rosario's been good. Keep him going. Freddie Freeman, of course, has been hitting that ball a lot, and Ozzie Albies has been getting on, stealing bases. They've been, Brian Snicker knows what he's doing. He shows no emotion whatsoever. He knows. If you see him in the dugout, every time the camera stands on him, he's a stone face. He looks like Bill Belichick. He's just sitting there, exactly, watching the game. Just, let's all do it.
Briefly says one word, occasionally.
Yeah, we're good. We're rolling. I think he's gonna pull something out of his sleeve. He's got some tricks. I think they take it.
You got Braves in 6 here. Mike, what do you think here's they return to Atlanta Saturday and Sunday?
So Max Scherzer in that wildcard game against the Cardinals, they didn't put up much offense as the game went on, but they found a way to jump on him early and get a run or two early in that wildcard game against Max Scherzer. So I think the Braves find a way to close it out tonight. But in case they don't, I'm picking the Braves. Oh yeah, tomorrow night. I'm sorry. I think regardless if they don't win tonight or tomorrow night, they find a way to do it in Game 7. I like them to win one of the 2 games at home. That they have to win it. But
so you at least have the Braves taking this one. Yeah. And you're thinking they can do it in Game 6?
I like them in Game 6.
Ooh, I'm the only one saying 7 here for the Dons. But
I like
we're all taking the Braves going to the World Series.
Yeah.
Let's flip it over to the ALCS now. It was obviously a travel day yesterday for this series, and it's been 2 straight wins for the Stros here. They obviously lead the series, go 3-2. Now they would get to return to home with a chance to close it out tonight at 8:08. Eovaldi on the mound for Boston and Garcia on the mound for Houston. So, 2 younger pitchers going at it, and 0-1 for Garcia in the postseason so far with an ERA of 24.55. So big chance right now for the Boston Red Sox to get those bats, flowing right along against a young pitcher who obviously hasn't pitched much, but what he has done in the postseason hasn't been great.
Yep.
So I think an early opportunity right now for this Boston team to jump on top of it. Last time, Sox run 9-5 against Garcia back in Game 2.
And Nathan Eovaldi, man, he's a solid pitcher. I think
he always has been.
Oh, absolutely. I think they take it here tonight, and force Game 7, and I can't. Houston is going to come and play it. I mean, I can't stand them whatsoever, but they have a team that can play. They have a
team that can very easily win this one tonight if they can get those bats rolling along. The question is, though, can Eovaldi hold up on the mound? Obviously, he was also the pitcher in that Game 2 against Garcia. So you've seen these 2 battle it out. It went 9-5 the first time around. Second time, though, could be a completely different story. And then, obviously, Game 7 will be Saturday night, 8:08. What are you guys picking here? Matt, I think you just said you think Boston forces Game 7. In that case, who do you think takes Game 7?
I have to see the setup for Game 7 first. Got to see who's on the mound, stuff like that. But
you're not going to. You got to pick them.
Yeah, I know. So right now, if they win tonight, they definitely have the momentum to win. Game 7. So I say they take it. I say Boston comes through.
Boston in 7, Mike. What about your
so tonight's pitching matchup kind of leans towards Boston, but
it sure does. Yeah.
I think Houston finds a way to get the bats going again. I mean, and they do it at any point too. Like they were trailing in Games 4, I think it was, and they explode for like 9 runs.
They can hit. Like they mean business.
And as much as we talk about them again, I know you don't like them because of cheating stuff, but like it's been 2 years since that stuff come out, and
I didn't like them before that.
I mean, whatever, but their lineup's good, and they're a good team. You have to give them credit. They don't get in these positions on accident, and I think Garcia, he had a hard time in Game 2 at home, but I think in this, with a chance to close it out, with their lineup too, I think they find a way to get it done tonight. I think he has a good pitching.
Well, Mike, on your side of that, Garcia pitched in Game 2, so did Eovaldi. Eovaldi also pitched in Game 4, in which the Astros won 9-2. So both pitchers have been on the losing side. Now, 3rd game of the series for Eovaldi. We looked at it, hasn't really worked too well for any team using the same pitcher 3 times in one series, Cleveland. So I think this is the chance. Houston, I think they close it out tonight in 6.
I like them tonight to close it out.
Yeah, I just think
it could very well happen.
I just don't think Boston can get it done using the same pitcher 3 times in a series.
Strong, let's go.
I mean, they found a way to beat him in Game 2, and I think they do the same thing. In Game 4, I think they have this number. I think they take them. Well, 15 minutes left in the show. We'll give a quick rundown of all the games from the NBA yesterday. Hawks had a good one open up their season, 113-87 over the Mavericks. And it was kind of a down game for this entire lineup for the Mavericks. Porzingis went 4 of 13. Doncic went 6 of 17. 2 of 7 from 3. There was no three-point shooting in this game whatsoever. And I think a lot of struggles right now in this Dallas Mavericks room. I don't know what they need. It doesn't seem like the team we saw last year in the way they were shooting. Could have just been an off night. And obviously on the other side of this, it was a perfect night for the Atlanta Hawks. You look at their 5 starters, all 5 in double-digit scoring. And obviously Cam Reddish off the bench. Fantastic so far in the season. 20 points and was the leading scorer for this squad, with Trae Young only putting up 19. He had an off-shooting night as well. So him and Luka Doncic going one-on-one proved to be a fantastic matchup to watch. And they pretty much both have each other's numbers, it seems. Neither one really has been able to perform against the other, but it did seem like the rest of the team came through with Trae Young having a down night and just exploded in this game. And it was a fantastic performance for this Hawks squad.
Yeah, it was. And you talk
yeah.
with Trae Young and Luka Doncic, the matchup going in, the guys that were traded for each other in the same draft and everything. That was a good matchup to watch, but I think the difference in this game that came down to was the Hawks' depth. I mean, they have a lot more depth than the Mavericks do. Their bench, they can play anybody they want, too, so they can go through a bunch of guys in a bunch of different lineups.
I mean, I think they both had great starting fives. You saw the problem. The starting 5 for Dallas, they just couldn't hit any shots. Dorian Finney-Smith went 2 of 12 and 1 for 6 from 3. Porzingis 4 of 13. Tim Hardaway 4 of 9. On the bench, Jalen Brunson was really the only spark of any light in this team. 17 points on 7 of 13 shooting, hit 3 threes. It just never felt like anybody on this Dallas squad had any momentum. Frank Ntilikina, in his first game since being with the Knicks last season, didn't really do much either. He was a huge part of their playoff run, and Boban Marjanovic didn't play as well. And he's been a big part of their defensive side of things, but he's not getting playing time this season. They're going to have to find somebody else to go to, because the Atlanta Hawks, as you just mentioned, they're deep. They can go to anybody, and they found a lot of points from the guys they weren't really expecting. And the only guy that didn't play for them, Lou Will. So once Lou Williams comes back, this is a squad in Atlanta that has a big chance to make a run this season. I kind of pulled it out earlier. Atlanta Hawks is my dark horse team right now to get to the NBA Finals.
And you have guys, they have other little guys. Kevin Herter only had 6 points or something in this game, but he has proven before, especially in last year's playoffs, that guy can go off and put up some points. I mean, we watched those playoffs.
Herter can hurt you.
He can hurt people, man. He can shoot.
He's a 3-point baller.
He was a shooter coming out of Maryland.
Once he hits 2 or 3 in a row, it's like, yeah, you can guard him all you want. He's still gonna hit him.
And Alec, not only with their depth too, most of their depth, they're deep at shooting. I mean, Trae Young, you got Herter, you have Bogdanovich. That's what they can beat you in, is not only with their depth, but with their ability to shoot.
Bogdanovich, I think, an underrated scorer.
Oh yeah,
severely underrated. Yeah, he's a huge shooter, and Milwaukee could have used some of that last night. They dropped Miami 137-95. Antetokounmpo held just 36% from the field, 4 of 11. He also went 6 for 10 from the free throw line, and a 15-point performance for him. He got 10 rebounds, but no one else came through. Chris Middleton, just 10 points. Pat Connaughton with 6. Grayson Allen, the guy everybody hates, with 14. Jordan Nwora had a great game off the bench, along with Sandro, who had 12 points. There was some good depth from this team. The starters, I think, were the ones that really fell flat, and they went up against a Miami Heat team that Jimmy B put up 21, Bam Adebayo with 20, and obviously Tyler Herro, 27 points with 4 threes in this game. And Miami looking like the team they were 2 seasons ago into that bubble run they had.
Going out to defending champs in their home opener. I think that's what got them going, being at home with their full crowd back again. And it really wasn't close for most of the game. I was checking the score. They found balance, like you just ran through. Everybody was scoring. Everybody was getting double.
When you get 3 guys and 20-point scoring,
it's hard to beat.
It's hard to lose when you have 3 guys and 20 points.
They have a stacked lineup too. Kyle Lowry's now on that team. He only had 5 points last night, but he'll become valuable as the season goes. Yes, absolutely. I was down in Florida this past summer and went to Miami, saw the stadium and everything. Beautiful complex there. I just like to talk about that. But like their franchise is known for good teams. I don't think they've really ever had a bad team. Even after LeBron left again, they had a down year, but they built themselves up, without players like that. So.
And I forgot they even had a guy like Oladipo too.
Yeah.
So they got some good.
Oh yeah, they have Victor Oladipo too. I forgot about that.
So, but they'll put it together, like you said with Kyle Lowry.
Right.
It's the same case with a lot of these teams.
Moving on here, one more game of big from last night. A big comeback as Steph Curry drops 45 points on the Los Angeles Clippers. Clippers nearly win this game despite not having Kawhi Leonard, who was working on his rap album. Just kidding, he's recovering. Well, not kidding. He did do that. He dropped his first rap album, Culture Jam, earlier today. But he was obviously out with surgery back in July to repair partial tear of his ACL in his knee. Don't know exactly how long he's going to be out. They really haven't released any statements on that. Paul George, though, 29 points in this game, 12 of 23 from shooting, 5 3-pointers from this game, a huge jump for him. Reggie Jackson, though, if he plays any better in this game, they win it. He goes 4 of 19, hits 3 threes, which I think you live with, but 4 of 19 shooting is terrible, and you can't live with that. And that's really the one downside you think you see from this Clipper squad last night. When you get a close game, you don't really look at who played bad, just look at who played the best, and that was Golden State. Wiggins with 17 points in this game. Draymond Green hit double digits with 10, and obviously Steph Curry, the big number, 45. Jordan Poole, though, he had a big game in their first one. He gets 9 points here again. He has bad shooting tonight, 1 for 6 from 3, 4 for 14 to the field, but I think you like what you see out of him so far. And once they get some of their other guys back into this lineup, obviously Klay Thompson and James Wiseman, the two big names I think they're missing still. This is a dangerous team. Golden State probably back to their dynasty ways, at least with the strength of their squad. We'll see if they can get back to that, but
they played playoff. Well, yeah, they played playoff teams their first two two games, and they've won.
Yeah, and we'll see how Klay plays when he comes back. But like you said, it's adding up for them to be back in the thick of things.
Yeah.
That it is. How about we look ahead to tonight? Our Cleveland Cavaliers get their home opener against the Charlotte Hornets. LaMelo Ball comes in, 31 points in the last game, had 9 rebounds, 7 assists. Evan Mobley, leading scorer so far for the Cavs through one game, 17 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. I'm looking for him to have a big game. I don't think the Hornets really have a guy that's going to match up well against him. I think they have a great team, and I think there's going to be a lot of upside for the Hornets, and I still think the Hornets win this one. But I think it's a good chance for Evan Mobley to have his first real big game so far in the season. But I got to give this one to the Hornets going into it.
Yeah. I got to give it to the Cavs. I mean, but you got Terry Rozier. He's questionable, and he's a Cavs killer. He's hit bombs against them. And for the Cavs, I mean, they like you said, they played well against Memphis. It's just they pulled away at the end. They have Ja Morant, and we don't. But
Hornets have LaMelo Ball and Gordon Hayward, who, keep in mind, also went off right behind LaMelo in that first game.
Yeah.
Like I always say, I think every team deserves to win their home opener. It doesn't always end up that way, but I like the Cavs in this one.
Listen, the Cavs have some tough. Alec, we were talking about this the other day. The first 20 games or so are tough teams.
I was telling you
have to find
last week.
Yeah,
it's going to build
find a way to win.
It's going to build this team's character a lot. Playing tough teams like this.
I mean, it's going to have to.
And they're going to win. Here and there, they're going to pull some out. I truly believe that. But yeah, Charlotte is hot.
And Matt, after these two, they have Charlotte tonight, Atlanta tomorrow night. Then they go on that West Coast trip. You play a team like the Lakers. I'm not saying they're going to beat the Lakers, but it's a better chance they've had in the last couple of years because the Lakers have a brand new team just trying to find themselves, and so do the Cavs.
New team,
But it's like the Cavs aren't like. Yeah, they're going to lose games, but not a team like, hey, they're just going to go and get blown out.
They're not going to be the worst team in the NBA.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think this is a game they can win, but after what we saw in Game 1 from the Hornets, I'm not too sure you can really start picking against them this season if they continue to play like that. But we'll see. Obviously, one game. Season isn't one game. Season isn't 10 games. It's long. It's 80-plus games. So it's a marathon, not a sprint. A lot of teams got to remember that. Can't go all out to start if you can't finish strong, which we've seen from a lot of teams. So we'll see if the Cavaliers can, pick off a few games here in this first 20, which they're going to need to if they want to be a team that, is on the play-in tournament side of things, which I think is probably where they best fit into the playoff system, is if they can get down to one of those play-in tournament games.
Yep.
So we'll see. Another big game, though, for New York Knicks. If they play like they did in that first one, it's not even going to be close tonight against the Magic. What do you guys think of that one? Julius Randle, 35 points in that first game. Nearly had himself a triple-double.
All the Magic's going towards the Knicks tonight.
The Magic's home opener, though.
Yeah, but like I said, every team deserves to win a home opener, but it doesn't always happen. So I like the Knicks. I don't think the Magic have anything that really stands out. And they're a young team. They're rebuilding, but Knicks are a playoff team.
Well, it was a 33-point, 15-rebound game for Domantas Sabonis in their first game. They still fall short. Now they take on the Wizards on the road. Montrezl Harrell, the leading scorer for Washington, formerly of the Clippers and the Lakers. They're 1-0 so far, and Bradley Beal, if he can find his rhythm once again, it could be a big game for the Wizards tonight at 7. What do you guys think of this one?
I like this Wizards team.
I do too. Even though they don't have Russell Westbrook this year, I think they have to rely on other guys, and other guys get more playing time, and that it builds their character. I'm on building character today, but they have a good solid team. I think they can pull out some wins.
And I think they got some nice pieces in that Westbrook.
They do.
Well, a few other games on tonight. Nets 76ers should be an interesting one. That's on ESPN tonight at 7:30. Pelicans Bulls looking for a big game back from Zion Williamson, but we'll see if this Bulls lineup that they have loaded up on can continue to win. They won their first game 2 nights ago, so we'll see if they can build back on it. Thunder Rockets, 2 teams that were playoff contenders a few years ago, trying to find themselves 0-1 in the season. Spurs Nuggets, both 1-0. That's at 9 p.m. Should be a great game there. Looking forward to that. And at 10 p.m., Suns Lakers, both 0-1. LA's home opener. LeBron James, 34 points last time out, looking to return to form once again. Kings Jazz, though, 1-0 teams taking on tonight, 10 p.m. We're not going to talk any more games. We're going to go in here. 75th anniversary team revealed for the NBA. And there were some big question marks left out. Kyrie Irving not on the list. Klay Thompson not on the list. Dwight Howard didn't make the 75th anniversary team. A lot of big names did on the other hand, though. Kareem, Ray Allen, Giannis, Melo, Nate Archibald, Paul Arizin, Charles Barkley, Rick Barry, Elgin Baylor, Larry Bird, Kobe, Wilt, Bob Cousy, Steph, AD, Clyde Dexter, Tim Dunkler, Kevin Durant, Julius Erving, Patrick Ewing, Walt Frazier, Kevin Garnett, Shaq, Dirk, Steve Nash, Monroe, Reggie Miller, McHale, Bob McAdoo, Pete Maravich, Moses Malone, Karl Malone. I mean, so many big names on this list.
Jordan.
Yeah, obviously, Michael, Magic,
LeBron.
John Havlicek, a big one there.
Oh, yeah.
Any guys you think
Oscar Robinson
should have been on the list that didn't make it?
It's so hard with this because
it is.
They had the 50th anniversary 25 years ago in Cleveland. And it's like, yeah, there were some guys that were left off. But now we're 25 years after that, and there's so many more great players just in the last 25 years that somebody's got to be left off.
Somebody does.
And I don't know. I think Klay should be on this list because he's one of the greatest shooters ever in basketball.
Yeah. How about oh no, we were talking about him last night. You wanted the jersey.
Mark Price.
Yeah, well, Mark Price. I mean, I know
he's good, but I mean, can you say he's better than the rest of these guys on the list? Maybe not. I mean,
is Larry Bird on this list?
Yes.
Okay, of course.
Better be. I didn't see him.
I'll say his name.
You said his name? Okay.
I don't remember saying his name.
He didn't say his name.
He read off like 30 in a row.
He did.
Straight.
I mean, guys like Jason Kidd are on this list. Sam Jones, obviously LeBron, AI.
Kevin Hayes.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of big names here, but I can't personally think of one that's left off the list. And I'm like, they need to be on that. How could they not put him there?
Yeah. Well.
So,
It's too hard.
Right.
Not enough spots.
I don't know how they do it. I mean, that must be the biggest pain ever. But James Harden in over Klay Thompson, I think maybe is the one part you look at, and you never know. I mean,
all right.
Guess we could see. But that's going to do it here. Russell Westbrook also in that 75. That's going to do it here for the Casual Sports Podcast. Nothing much going on in the NHL, so we'll finish things off here as we always do on Fridays. 2 final segments. Highlight of the week. I got to give mine to Dernis Johnson. His first start for the Cleveland Browns. He went off with a ton of yards and a touchdown, and really was the reason the Browns win that game. So I got to give my highlight of the week to him. What about you, Mike?
I'm sticking in Cleveland. I'm going the debut of Evan Mobley. I think he's going to be the star for the Cavs.
All right.
I got to go Stephen Curry. 45 points in the game last night.
Huge game, and he led the comeback. So we'll finish it off one more time. See if I can get it right this week. This week's Meathead of the Week. Give it out, Matt.
All right, Tennessee Volunteer fans. This is pretty obvious. They were throwing garbage, throwing golf balls at Lane Kiffin. Yeah, a bunch of meatheads. They got punished for it. The SEC fined Tennessee $250K for the fan behavior. I mean, we'll discuss real quick. Yeah, they're meatheads.
Meatheads. All right, that's going to do it, though. Yeah. I'm Alec Berna. That's Mike Wolfgang. That's Matt Morrison. Here, Matt and I tonight on YSNLive.com. Cheney at East. Power Hour up next. We'll see you later.